Hey, guess what? It's Comic Artist Pro Secrets, and I'm Ethan Van Sciver. Hi. Today we're going to do something called Brutally Honest Portfolio Reviews. Now, I mentioned this on Twitter, and people got very upset, thinking that brutally honest means cruel. No, it doesn't mean cruel. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings at all. What I want to do is I want to invest a little bit of my time in your portfolios. And by the way, I'm only going to do portfolios given to me by adults with thick skin who actually are intending to get somewhere in this business, who are trying to break in actively, and who can take honest criticism. If you're looking for validation, you're not going to get it here unless you're really, really excellent. That wouldn't be the purpose of this. The purpose of these videos would be to instruct you on your portfolio, but also for the people watching, maybe they can learn something as well and apply it to their own portfolio and their own work and their own ideas and their own base of knowledge. I am a professional for 25 years this year. I started in 1993, and in fact, I started in, I think, January of 1993, so I am an even 25 years as of this month, and I'm happy to share with you what I know, and hopefully you can get something from it. So this first portfolio, the one that we're doing today, was offered up by a fellow named Luis, and Luis gave me his permission to do this video, and he actually asked for me to look at his work a few times. I think he's asking other professionals as well. He has a dream of telling his own story and getting it published somewhere, and this is a lot of the story. And right now I can tell you, and I can tell Luis, that he's like 90% of the way there in terms of the hard work that it takes to get into comics. You have to actually draw. You have to do it. You can't just sit around and say, well, who will pay me first? That comes later. First you have to draw, and you have to put your heart and soul into it. And Luis has done it. He's invested his time and energy in at least 6 pages. It looks like I have 6 pages here to show you. And overall, they look really, really great. Luis said, "You're not, like, is it bad?" And I said, "No, it's not bad. It's actually good, but full of drawing mistakes." So, it's like the overall look of your work is neat, but if you look closer, there are lots of mistakes that you're making in terms of perspective and proportions. And everybody makes mistakes like these, so you need a second set of eyes to point them out, and maybe you'll know to fix them next time. Okay, so let's begin here. Luis has offered up, first of all, the colors are gorgeous. I don't know who colored this. It looks like it's a mixture of hand colors and computer colors for effects. Very, very pretty. I could be wrong, but I think that I think you did a nice job here. So let's look at this. Let's look at this establishing shot. First thing that you're going to do, even though this appears to be page 17, is you're going to need to offer up an establishing shot to ground us as to where we are. So we're in it could be Philadelphia, it could be part of New York. There are these brownstones, and we've got a gentleman who I think is getting out of this car and running to the house. He's going to run up these stairs. Now, we can see right away, although this is beautifully drawn and obviously it's been photo referenced. That's fine, take a photograph, that makes it more realistic. The problem is when you take a photograph and you want to work other elements into it that weren't into the photograph, you need to understand perspective. So, let me see, I got this ruler here. Let me see if I have a smaller ruler. I do. All right. So we see this line here? And we can basically see that line here. All right, so we know that the horizon line is, it might be a little higher, right about there. Okay, that's the horizon line. Because of the horizon line, we know that everything is going to kind of meet at a point right around here. This gentleman is beneath the horizon line by about a head and a half. Okay, to begin with, the car's way too small for him to have just gotten out of it. All right, the car should be more like out. I mean, it would be much, much bigger than this. But also, if the horizon line is up here and he is 2 heads or 1.5 heads below the horizon line, heads meaning the height of his own head, everything that, everything would be in relation to that. So this car is now way, way, way below the horizon line. Way below it. And that's why it looks small and it looks like it's sitting in a hole. It should be, let's see, it should be, I don't know if I'm going to redraw it, but it should be higher. It should be right about up here, and it would come out like that, come out over there, basically. And because of that little perspective goof, like this looks terrific, this half and this half of the panel fails. Okay. I like this guy's style a lot. Luis has a neat drawing style. Look at the length of the palm of the hand here and the fingers and the long fingernails as he puts a key into the keyhole here. This doesn't need to be perfectly drawn, and I'm going to make allowances for the fact that his work is so very stylized to explain the length of this hand. As long as he keeps that consistent, then it's not a problem. When it comes to the people that you're using, they are your puppets. Okay, so you can draw them any way that you want. Puppets can look however puppets want to look, as long as you maintain them and make sure that they're consistent. You should be okay. So he's got the key in there. What a great face here. Obviously, I'm going to assume this style kind of reminds me of Aeon Flux, that old cartoon from MTV. I'm going to assume that it means to be this way. All right, so he's got a kind of a longer kind of nose, smaller mouth, and kind of a weaker chin. And this is just the way he's proportioning. So we have to keep our proportions correct with this. I would move this eye forward a little bit, just a little bit. I think it's floating too far backwards towards his cheekbone, but it's comics. And then we have this. So basically, I don't know what happens here. He puts the key in, he looks at the door, and then suddenly we've got a shot of what I assume is this the outside? This has got to be the outside. This is an outdoor light. I think that's the door. Is it closed? I'm not really sure what's going on here. My spider senses tell me he went inside the house, but there's no evidence of that. He could have gone the other way. He could have gone back to the car. This is an unclear panel. I think it's meant to suggest he goes inside the house and closes the door. Well, this didn't work. That didn't present that illusion. That did not give that information at all. Anyone who is reading this is going to be confused, and they're going to have to make the leap and go, did he go inside the house? I think he went inside the house, but I don't know. How could you have fixed that? Well, you could have had the door, or we could have done another panel where we saw the door and him kind of inside of it a little bit, like it's closing, and then boom, this panel. We needed a panel in between this. All right, let's go to page 18 and see what's going on. So it looks like here the guy has entered this brownstone. This is all one panel, and that's a staircase here. All right. Yeah, we got trouble here. We got a lot of trouble. Again, it's all in perspective. People have trouble with perspective. It's pretty clear to me. Is this all? This is all one panel. I keep thinking that this is a different panel from this, but no. He's walked inside the house, and he is going into this next room. And we want to show the staircase just to indicate there are stairs going up. All right. Okay. All right, so here we go. Let's talk about horizon lines again. Let's find where our horizon line is here. And it's going to be right dead center right here. That means that everything, so it cuts him at the neck. Let's use him to build this whole thing. So it cuts him right at the neck and the shoulders. That means everything here along this line should be at his neck and shoulder height, kind of. Okay, so this railing going down, down, down. Now, where is a railing going to be? A railing is going to begin kind of, right about here on him. It kind of should. Here's the rail. Here's the bottom rail right here. These stairs would go up, and you wouldn't be able to see them anymore. I don't think we would see. Oh, maybe, I don't know. This living room this next room is completely wrong. It doesn't relate to this at all. This is a floor here. Okay, you've got a floor, and let's say the floor goes up here and would meet the horizon line there. That means the floor in this room, you'd be able to see it back here, okay, right at this line. So you got to have, if you're going to use, and this is 2-point perspective, kind of. You've got to figure out perspective. Go watch my videos on them and learn. Everything has to relate to each other. Everything has to relate to everything else in the panel in terms of proportion and size. It's very, very important. Figures are interesting. All right, so he comes into this room here and he kneels down. This is a decent panel. Yeah. Fireplace. Yeah. Good panel. This looks like it may have been photo referenced. This is interesting here. This face here doesn't look like the face of the guy before. I don't know why it is. It doesn't look like him. It looks like you're drawing in a different style now. This looks like you're back to your old style again. I love this. I love the long nose shape. The eye is way out of, and I'm just assuming this is a stylistic thing. The eye is way out of his socket, which would be right down here. So the eye should basically be here. Now, if you're that's a stylistic choice to make people look like they have really long kind of noses. Hey, I've got a really long nose. I'm down. But the problem is, this is just I don't know. It seems like it would be better if you lowered the eye down a little bit, just a tad. The good news is that you, looks like statted. Did you stat these two? You did. You statted these two panels and just changed the eye, so that's fine. They kept the consistent look. I'm not sure what's going on. He's looking at this. I don't know what this is. I don't really know what it is. Dante, crack, and then I don't know what he's doing here. I don't know why he's reacting this way. Clarity. Close-ups are a problem. I mean, you can really only do close-ups after you have established the holy hell out of everything that the character is going to interact with. You can't just do a random close-up like this with a hand, fingers pressed against something that looks like it's broken. Maybe it's glass, maybe it's something else. Don't know. Could be flower petals. I'm not sure what all this is. But an eye looking down and then touching something broken and then looking up gives us little information on this page. And you really needed to establish better. I don't know what this is. This is killing me. Is it a chair? Is it a cradle? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out in the next page, 19. Oh, and then it looks like a zombie comes in. Okay. All right. I mean, this is fine. It doesn't really have any impact at all, though. The zombie just kind of is standing there. This is a very flat shot. This should be a surprise, and it is a surprise, but it could be a better surprise if you just kind of shot it a different way. Let's see. Let me see if I can get this to turn down on my paper. All right. I'll do this as best as I can here. All right, so he's getting grabbed by the shoulder. He turns fully around, and I would have just shot it this way. You're not going to be able to see. All right. Here's our zombie kind of monster. I love the hair that was in his face. I think that's cool. And have him more in the foreground like this, and then have of his arm. Oh, he's got his hand around his neck. Huh, interesting. Alright, so this would have been more of a shock panel to have him turn around, and I don't know what he had in his hand, but we could have added that somehow, had that fly out of his hand. And here's our zombie all of a sudden. Boom. Okay, that just would have been a more effective layout. It would have been more interesting and scary. Even if you drew it askew like that, that would have been good. This is just a little bit, I mean, it's okay. It says what you want to say, but it's not. It doesn't have the kind of shock, fright, scare that maybe you wanted. I think you were going for here. This is fine. It's pretty neat, actually. Okay, we lost. Well, I don't know. Again, these are your puppets. All right, so he's very small in his body here. He's very small. Remember that for the most part, a normal person is about 2 heads, shoulder width apart. And so you can see that the fact that you made the shoulders too small also ended up affecting his arms, which are too small here. This is interesting. This smack here. You've got all this blank negative space here. I guess the zombie's falling down, but you've got all this blank space that you could have used. You could have made the zombie more coming at us in the foreground and eaten up some of this space here. I'm not sure what's happening here or here. Here he just looks like he's upset, but this Spatik, it's unclear. Unclear what's happening there. Clarity. Got to make sure you have clarity. So let's go to page 20. He's looking at his hands. Those are neat. I mean, really good. The thing about drawing hands is that you've got a pair of them at the end of your wrist. So there shouldn't be a problem ever really drawing hands. You have your own reference right in front of you. Who's this guy? Oh, so he was calling for Dante. Dante just suddenly appears there. We don't see where Dante came from. I guess he came from back here. I think it would be better to put Dante back here in the doorway so we can see that he just kind of walked in instead of just appeared there. Like, he wouldn't have walked close to this corpse on the ground. He would have stopped dead in his tracks right here. Yeah, this is pretty good. Yep. Yeah, I like the way you draw. I like the way everything looks. You have storytelling problems and perspective problems so far that are holding you back. But this is a really, really neat style, and the colors are really effective. All right, let's look at page 21. Yeah, more perspective problems with this chair. More proportion, perspective. This guy would be 20 feet tall if this chair were in the same room with him. Why does that happen? Well, it looks like the, Oh, I know why it's happening. I see. Okay, so your horizon line's down here at the floor. They're both standing on the same plane here, essentially. And the fact that they're standing on the plane means that we would have a worm's eye view. It would mean that we would be looking up. We would see more things. We would see the ceiling up here. This house has no ceiling. But if you're laying on your belly and looking at them, because their feet are both on the same plane as you, you would see an awful lot of ceiling up here. And this chair, this chair would be right about, I don't know, it's hard to say. There's no sense of, because the perspective doesn't exist here, there's no sense of where this chair is in the room. It appears to be right next to him. It's not pushed back into the background. It needs to be pushed back in the background, but something about the way that you did this perspective makes the chair look like it's right next to him, and then it looks tiny and he looks really tall. Again, go back and look at my perspective videos. I'm going to do some more. I'm after this. I'm definitely doing some more perspective videos. Yeah, look at this panel. This panel's great. Right? Let's see. Yeah, they're both kind of cut off at the knees here with the horizon line. Yeah, perspective is still wrong, but they're in proportion with that chair and with the fireplace. Yeah. And I even though their faces are, it's like, I mean, that's just, it's not even human because his eye is way up here and it really should be down here. I still like it. I still think that, like, if you maintain that look, it's pretty neat. I buy into it. I believe in them. Yeah, I like his clothing here. I like his posture. I like his clothing and posture. And yeah, and we're still doing the same thing with the super long noses. Looks like a good blurring effect here. It looks like you've got one of the guys from Miami Vice out here waiting for him. I like this panel too. Yeah, it's neat. The more I look at it, the more I like it. I think that's a good thing. Yeah, so we've got our guy. Again, face is still the same. Look, she matches him. They both have like the long nose kind of thing. This must be the artist's style. This is what he wants to do. I believe this. This is a good close-up. She's a little big. Her head's a little big. She looks like she's way bigger than him. She's slightly further away. Her head should be a little bit smaller than his. The fact that it's bigger than his and she's farther away really makes her look gigantic. Not crazy about this hand either, honestly. Looks like, okay, so they're getting in the car, and the car looks good. It looks like it's not a very well drawn car. Here's the thing. I like your scritchy scratchy style. I'd like to see it used more to evoke different senses of texture. Like this car, the way the lines are sort of sketchily drawn on it, basically gives it the same impression as his clothing and his clothing. It's like they're all made of the same material. This figure is badly done. His legs are too short. His midsection is too long. This figure, again, his legs are too short, and yeah, this area is okay, but he's got these tiny little legs, and it looks like I don't know if he's walking or leaning up against the car. It looks like here he's leaning up against the car, so, and that foot is kind of back, like he is leaning. It kind of looks like he's walking, but this gives me further evidence as you do pull a little pan, but a stat that he is leaning, because he hasn't moved at all. Neither has she. And I don't know. I mean, is this the right place for a stat? The problem with it is that she is staying the same too. He could be saying the same things. Like we should just get moving. I feel like he could be in the same position here, but they would definitely have moved, and maybe he would be reacting differently as well. This is one of those cases where you can stat him just to show that he's thinking. Everyone else has to be acting a little bit more. Okay, so that is the end of your 6 pages. Let's see, Luis, I like it. I like your work a lot. I think you've got a really great style. The colors are excellent. I don't know who's doing your colors, if you're doing them, but they are spot on. Really, really dig them. You're going to have to learn perspective, and you're going to have to learn to show. And sometimes it takes time. You don't always. It's unpleasant to have to, redraw a panel. Like this takes the most time. This kind of establishing panel, and it's unpleasant to have to do more and more establishing when really this panel probably took all of 30 minutes to draw. This panel probably took 7 hours to draw. So, but it doesn't matter. You have to do it right, or you're not helping the reader see the story. I don't know what this is that he's looking at. I don't know what this is that he's touching. I don't know. And it's a big problem for me. Yeah. This panel here needs to be completely redrawn. This doesn't look like our main character at all. I think you used photo reference for him, trying to make your guys look more realistic. No, don't bother. I like your long-nosed, kind of cartoonish people. I like them. It has a really nice flavor to it. But this is wrong. But not only that, like he's crouched down here. He has not gotten up here. He's just turned his head to the side. Look where his shoulders are here. His shoulders, if he's crouched over, are going to be clear up here. Clear up here, okay? And he turns his head to the side. And we know he hasn't. He hasn't gotten up because, look, he's still down. I mean, yeah. We get the impression that he has not gotten up or changed position, really. He's just looking to the side. So just bear in mind, his shoulders would be up here. This is where his shoulders would be if he were just standing up and turning his head to the side. Good spooky colors. Again, I can't say enough about it. The book has a great spooky flavor to it. All in all, just a nice tone. Your action needs work. Your perspective needs work. You need to work on your figure drawing a little bit. And your storytelling. You have a lot of storytelling problems, and the storytelling problems, I can tell, are just due to the fact that you don't want to do it. You know, it's like you get kind of lazy about getting in there and actually drawing what you need to draw to tell the story. You'd rather just do it in close-ups, and there are a lot of artists that do that. It doesn't work. Take your time. Make sure that a person can understand your story without even reading it. Just visually, image to image, choose the right image to tell your story. And that's it, Luis. I thank you for letting me review your portfolio on my channel, Comic Artist Pro Secrets. If you are like Luis and you would like your portfolio or your little story or whatever you have reviewed, I only want to see panel-to-panel stuff. I really don't want to see pin-up drawings. If you have something like that and you have thick skin and you're not going to get your feelings hurt if I don't like your work and criticize it kind of hard, let me know and send it over, and maybe I'll do this for your submission as well. Everyone, thank you for watching. Thanks for everything that you guys do. Thanks for the subscriptions. Thanks for the super chats that get donated during live chats. We're going to be doing another live chat very, very soon. I want to thank you for my new Patreon, which many of you have donated to. It just makes this easier. I can, once I get a certain amount of money in there, I can actually afford to take time and do more videos, spend more time drawing and showing you guys, teaching you how to draw and little tips here and there in my tutorial videos. So that Patreon is important, and for everyone who's donated to it already, and I'm so grateful. I'm very, very happy. That's it. So please hit like if you like this video, and leave comments below. Tell Luis what you think of his work. I think probably most of you will like it as much as I did. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
In the ATL, that's my homeboy. Watch your back if you're gonna walk alone, boy. Cause everybody in the homeboys trying to get rich. You could get hit even if you know 'em, boy. We the kings of the South. Pies in the oven, grills in the mouths. Count stacks is a usual norm. College Park, Bankhead, where the hustle was born. So peace up and A-Town down. 4-4 living with the 808 sound. Nightlife popping, ain't nobody stopping. Cutting up a rug when the beat dropping. The dirty birds nest here, and then they haters get to talking. Then they falling on the deaf ears. This is where trap music was born, on the 50-yard line of the Georgia Dome. In the ATL, pop that, drop that. Dirty birds, you ain't never gonna stop that. ATL, we the best, this dirty South, living from MIA to Texas. ATL.